Hi guys, so we're back and another podcast with Iziz. I'm Diana. So hi Iziz.
Idea.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm okay. I'm okay actually. I'm really okay. So we're gonna basically talk about your journey from Urban MBA straight on to now basically. So I'm also ask you to project in.
Sure.
Just gonna get to it. Okay, first of all, congratulations on graduating from Reading.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
How does it feel to be a graduate finally?
I think it's a lot to take in, because it wasn't just like I said, it's just like 4 years passing by. It's like 4 significant years where I went through different set of masters. So whereas it's like starting university is gets like the gist of everything, trying to understand how things work and also just developing an understanding about who I am and kind of what I want for the future. And essentially just building up on my previous experiences such as work and whatnot. And then having placement year in between my second and third year, and then just building on my skills more and more. And then reached to the point where now I've graduated and there's like multiple accomplishments which I've had to achieve.
Great. So you were an Urban MBA student before you at CUE. How was that?
Yeah. So that was a significant jump, I'd say, in terms of like no career development, particularly because I only came to an MBA when I was 60. So this was pretty much right after GCSEs, and I had just started my A levels.
Yeah.
So I was at the kind of usual stage where I didn't really know what I wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah.
All I did have an idea of was just like I would want to get into the finance field, but not really pinpointing what it was exactly. So that's where Urban MBA came in, and I'm having discussions with, say, for instance, Kofi, and having to talk about like what do I want to like try out, for instance. So rather than having everything planned out in a single go, just take those baby steps. Just try, test things, test the waters, and just see where things go from there. And that's where like Urban MBA gave me the opportunity to work with the set up accounts and just develop from the practical work experience. And alongside that, it's just my general skill set. For instance, like my communication skills, resilience, discipline, all these factors.
What initially drew you towards going by Urban MBA?
I think it's the strong people focus is what I'll say particularly. So it's more than just like you come and just about the skill sets. It's about having that genuine discussion one-to-one to really think through about like my own individual development. And having that catered towards what my wants and needs are. And then as I'm progressing along, it's not just a linear path. It's about just understanding where I'm at different stages. For instance, when I was like 18, I'm nowhere near what I was like when I was 60 in terms of my knowledge and mindset, do all these factors. And like when I was 21, it's not the same as 18. So it's this kind of progressive ladder.
So you would say it's like a growth because obviously when like for me when I first got here, because I'm also an alumni.
Yeah.
So I did it last year to 6 months, and anyone even here they would say, "Oh, D is in the same D that she was when she first started." I can honestly say that me 4 years and those taught me now. So I completely agree and relate to what you say in regards to the growth and the development process from when you're a certain age to current self now. And yeah, would you agree that Urban MBA kind of shaped that for you basically? They helped you bring out you're not so introverted and you're more confident self, but that's what I would do.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I would say that's exactly the case. First, when I first joined, I was a lot more quiet, much more reserved and kept to myself. And like with that came, like I said, it's like I need to develop more of that self-confidence to be more outspoken.
Yeah.
Not to be the case where, oh, you have to be this kind of grand extrovert, or you think the sort. But it's just about working to my skill sets and just developing that ability to communicate. So for instance, like when I was 16 and they're comparing that to say like now or when I was like 21,
Yeah.
my communication skills built up more and I was able to be more spoken and a lot more confident in terms of like what I say. And it also just reflects much in terms of like my own kind of mindset towards things as well. Having that to balance between like my own growth, but also just understanding how far I've grown as well.
How did, because we already answered this question, so shall we skip the other question? How did, how do you think Urban MBA prepared you for university? You did say you saw SXP. So how did they prepare you for starting uni at, I think, is it 18 you thought uni?
So I took a gap year,
Okay.
and I started university.
Oh, okay, so how did coming here, learn about Urban MBA, doing the course there, all that prepare you for the big, almost a big bad, but big world of university?
Yeah.
How did it prepare you for that?
Yeah, so I think essentially it boils down to like just the foundations, like in terms of the skill sets, so communication, discipline, resilience, all these factors. So for instance, when I was doing counterwork with Urban MBA, it wasn't just a case where I was just kind of given a set of workload and I was just taught instructions.
Yeah.
It was about just using my own kind of thinking and bringing my own sense of knowledge and my own skill sets and to then just work towards achieving different goals. And then with that comes the sense of maturity, where I'm kind of in this deep end when I first started with Urban MBA.
Yeah.
But from that deep end, I was able to kind of build myself up more and more. And that's where things like the confidence, resilience came through.
Yeah.
And then with that, as soon as I joined university, I felt like I was much more ahead of my peers, where they may have felt like they have no clue what they were doing. That was their career. It felt like they were just getting by. Whereas I was able to develop my skill set much earlier, thanks to Urban MBA and the kind of practical work experience I was able to build upon.
Yeah. So let's take a dive into the university and your career part. So why Reading? Why not in university? Why that particular uni?
Yes, so particularly with Reading, so they have Henley Business School, and with Henley Business School is, I think it's last 7th in terms of ranking in terms of the UK.
Yeah.
And then with that, they're also triple accredited with the ACACB and a couple of other accreditations that reflects much on their quality and the standard of the work that they produce.
Yeah.
And I reflected much about when I was actually in Henley Business School and University of Reading, where I was able to be supported in terms of my career. In terms of the module teaching quantity, they were great. Like, it wasn't just purely theoretical. There's an element of touch towards the practical side. And having that balance was key, especially in a world where like pure academics is not just going to be enough for the future. You need to have the skill set and you need to understand exactly what you do and then in the first place. So with that kind of university development, I was able to just get a bit of everything that I wanted in terms of just how do I keep progressing more and more.
Yeah.
And that's what like really stood out to me in Reading. But before I joined and then during and after, now as you can see that come to fruition to where I am today.
Okay. I've already said congratulations to Banky Said. Congratulations. What strategies approached you to, I guess, help you excel in academically? So what strategies would you say was a thing you use in uni? Because for me, when I was in uni, the thing for me is I was a complete nerd. I was a tourism. I was stick to myself. I wouldn't really go out. I would do my work in my room, stay in my room, and don't do anything else. What strategy did you use to help you achieve your I guess grade sets?
I mean, I'll be honest, like my first and second year, I felt like I didn't prioritize the academics as much. Ironically enough, I felt like my key priority was more towards the personal growth side and just make the most out of the experience, such as being involved in societies, musical hobbies, ways to take care of myself, including like gym and just looking after mental health. In terms of actually, when it comes to get the work done, it's not just about just kind of entering and
Why you chose Reading and then just go to next shit tells. So, yeah. Why did you choose Reading University?
yeah, so particularly with Reading on this path, they have Henley Business School as the university. So in terms of the ranking itself, Henley Business School is about 7th, I think, in the UK.
Yeah.
And in terms of that, they are also triple accredited with multiple qualifications and accreditations. And because of that, it reflects much on their research and the standards that they work with. And then that reflected much on like the modules that I was picking throughout university in the terms of the teaching standards, where it's not they're just kind of giving out information to you. It says like, why is this information relevant at all to the real world?
Yeah.
So it has that blend of the theoretical side but also that practical side at the same time. And in terms of that, where I had to do my independent learning, the tutors were incredibly supportive in terms of whether I was just kind of maybe having a bit of a meltdown in terms of trying to get work done, or I'm just trying to figure out like what do I need to do exactly. And in terms of Reading, like they're really good at trying to support you along the way in terms of not only just like the academic side, but also the well-being side.
Right.
So it has that hand-in-hand support as and when you need it. And I felt like with Reading particularly, that's pretty much what I felt like was suitable for me in terms of picking the university. So it worked best for me.
Yeah, I wish I thought of that when I was applying to be honest, because obviously it was different. So obviously having a university that you're ready would really good for you, and most people don't have that experience. So girl, you have that experience. Your strategies. What strategies did you approach to that helped you with your studies? So what was your thing that you used or you did that made you say, okay, this once for me, my work is getting good, it's completely on time. What were the strategies?
I think ironically, I wasn't focusing too much on the academics. And what I mean by that is it's not like I just neglected it.
Yeah.
It's about just understanding the timelines and what's expected of me in the first place. And it wasn't to the point where I needed to try spend hours on end on my different courseworks or that crap. It's about just kind of filtering out what needs to be done and what's more as much of a priority.
Yeah.
And then being able to balance that and kind of learn as I go along, it really helps to just make sure that I was able to pin down what needs to be prioritized and just kind of learn what works best for me in terms of study techniques, in terms of how I want to organize my work. It's like, for instance, as I was going along my university time, how I managed my day-to-day activities, it kind of grew and evolved. So for instance, I was initially just using like a note just to kind of note my day-to-day activities. Yeah. But as I kind of went on, I digitalized it just so it's much easier to access everywhere. And then as I was doing things like that, I was able to build that efficiency. And then by the time it came to final year, it's like I saw, for instance, my grades went up significantly. And that's how it kind of wrapped up into getting the first class on the end.
So you created almost a rigid schedule, but with a scheduling which you can properly do what you need to do in the right order and the right time.
Yeah, so it's about kind of planning what you need to do and understanding why those different segments are important.
Right, yeah.
Rather than just kind of going in the deep end and just studying endlessly, but it won't be productive just because you don't know.
Would you recommend anyone that's probably going to watch this, would you recommend them to plan?
Definitely plan.
Yeah.
Have like some idea to start with. It's not always about trying to have this grand perfect plan. Sometimes you just need to start somewhere, and it's not going to be perfect right at the beginning, especially if you're just starting fresh with this whole plan in it. It's about just understanding what works best with you, and also just understanding like how your own brain operates. Like for instance, some prefer that sense of structure, such as myself, whereas there may be others that can't work with a structure, but they like knowing what to do, but just kind of about their own pacing.
I think I'm in between, Tom. I like structure, but then also like cut, have a bit of pacing. Yeah. So I'm in between. I'm right in the middle.
Yeah, so
Some in that balance. Tell us about placement year.
yeah, honestly, the placement year I feel like was one of my most significant parts, honestly. So more specifically, so I was doing an audit in the public social sector in Philippus Bazaar.
Yeah.
And with that came the need to do the ACA qualification in terms of the studying for the first year on that. Split into 3 years, I only did the first year.
Yeah.
And when I went in and actually started that qualification, it's one thing hearing beforehand that you're just doing is set up exams, but it's another when you're generally going through it. Simply because of the coursework that you're going to go through, where it's kind of put into context, you're doing like 1 year's worth of university content in a span of days to learn it, but then you kind of have to sit an exam in the next month.
Wow. And you did that.
Yeah, and you still work full time, and you have to just make sure you're up to speed in terms of the quadrants you're on, different client works. So in terms of that, it was definitely a massive jump in the learning curve to get through. However, I feel like it was a learning curve which I was able to overcome, and I reflected on being able to get the whole first year ACA qualification out of the way. So, and working with the kind of professional environment in terms of more corporate side of things, there's definitely a significant switch up. And it's something that I didn't even experience in the past, which required me to build on the communication skills I once built up, like for instance from Urban MBA, but also learning how to deal with client relationships, understand when the technical skills develop, where I have to use things like Excel and other software to actually get audit work done. Is that all these things kind of accumulated and made my placement year like a really significant factor to look back on. And I really feel like it shaped me in terms of my mindset towards things. It just reinforcing the need to just continuously grow and evolve.
I think you already said it, but I'm not asking anyways. But you did your placement year. You did your, correct from wrong. Is it ACA? ACA, yeah. You did your ACA, but you're also still studying at Ready as well. Am I right? Yes. How did you balance all of that?
So the ACA was all in the placement year.
Yeah.
And then after the placement year, that's when I carried on my final year study.
Oh, okay. So placement and then you pitched. Okay, yeah. So I was gonna ask how had you balance it, but no, you already cleared the case right. Okay, so what you objective mindset. You mentioned that. I don't know if you mentioned it, but your objective mindset. How do you approach that? How did that serve the greater goal? Wherein we this financial kickers accounting genius. How did that?
So with the objective first mindset, so in terms of like the ACA or like the ICW, which is the board of accounting, one of the core foundations is to have objectivity. So it's to split that side of you which might have that more irrational side or the emotive side. And the reason why you need to have that is, like say for instance, audit work or account for that can at least to reflect true and fair accounting financial statements. And in terms of what I'd say, for instance, my general day-to-day life, where if I truly want to keep growing, having the objective first mindset is key, because there will be days where you might not feel as motivated, or you might feel like you just want to like sit back, relax, not work on the goal.
Yeah.
But having the objective first side, I feel like it's been core for me to keep on pushing. And it's not just relying on the motivation factor to keep me going ahead. It's now getting to that stage where I need to be able to push myself from a place of discipline rather than self emotions. Now, it's not to say you neglect emotions, but
Right.
it's about understanding what needs to be done and what's important, at least for me.
But then for those watching, what is objective first ones? Like in layman's terms, like you could dumb it down on it with. Yeah, what is an objective first mindset?
In simple terms, I'll just describe it as focusing on the actual reality of things and the facts, I'll say, rather than what you want it to be or like kind of what you hope things to be.
Right. Okay. So be more. Would you say far-sighted? Be more like broad-minded in a sense.
I'll say broad-minded.
Yeah, broad-minded. Foresight was the wrong word to use. Let me get to this. Okay, I think you already answered this, but let's ask it again for a refresher. What skills from Urban MBA was the most valuable in your professional life? Professional work, I should say.
I'll say one is definitely resilience, okay? And two would be desire to just learn and grow. So with the resilience side, I just think it's about understanding. Once again, you need to be able to put yourself at the deep end and actually have the chance to expose yourself to, say, for instance, things like failures.
Yes.
And maybe like the kind of common idea with failures is that nobody wants to fail, or they don't want to explicitly fail with things. However, that's where some of the biggest learning curves will be at the same time, because someone can give you all that advice in the world, But the reality is, like, there's certain things you just have to just trial and error, just keep experimenting. And failure is the key to, like, at least try and develop yourself. And that I'm wanting to, like, the second point, where the desire to learn and grow, where it's not about just being complacent or just being satisfied of just where you are.
Right.
It's about appreciating, like, where you are currently, but it's about understanding that there's still more to improve, or there's still elements of yourself that you may not have discovered, and there'll be elements of yourself that still requires developing, whether or not you're aware. As those two work hand in hand to really just get you forward in life.
I think I could agree with you on the failing part of it all. Because like I said, I also was a student last year. I know here working as a monthly assistant and also doing podcasts. So like I'm obviously afraid like failing for me is a thing I'm afraid of. But I'm learning. Yeah, because of here. See, either embrace the fear or don't let it win in a sense.
Yeah, and sometimes the failure of it is not necessarily a nice feeling to go through either, because it consistently proves elements that you're wrong, and it will challenge you continuously.
I think that's what failure should be changed to. So the failure, the challenge,
Yeah,
the challenge in front of you. Although it looks like you can't win the challenge, there's a challenge in front of you you have to take.
so yeah, and I think a lot of it ties down to the mindset of things as well, where people may perceive failure as like a bad thing,
Yeah.
but in truth, it's about just understanding like failure, like how it contributes to your long-term growth more than anything else.
Okay. Let's jump forward in the future. So you've graduated. Yeah. You've got your first class honors. Yeah. What are the future plans? What are your plans? What excites you most about the journey ahead? Or what you can't wait to get started on?
Yeah, so for this Mazar, where I did my placement last year, so I've got a return offer with them on a graduate scheme. Should be starting quite soon, next month.
Oh wow. Think and no break for your graduation.
Oh yeah, just a short sum.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm going to be starting on from there. And since I was able to do the first year of the ACA qualification during the placement, I'll be just essentially carrying on from the second year and then completing the third year next year.
Awesome.
So it clears 1 year of the ACA straight away with that. And just carry on like the next steps in terms of the awarded side of things, and just building on my skill set from there, trying to understand the importance of all that, and also just understanding areas of myself that I still need to develop.
Yeah.
Especially in the early stages of my career, I'll say.
Okay. I guess you kind of already answered this. You're going to see, is it graduate? Right. Your graduate scheme? Yeah. Yeah. So you can see that. What advice do you have as both an alumna of Urban MBA and a recent master? Would you get anyone wanted to join Urban MBA's course and maybe not just go to Reading, but go to Heathrow BHA? Oh, what would be your advice to them?
I think a lot of that boils down to is prioritize skill sets. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you just need to kind of just try one thing or another, just run a idea.
Yeah.
Of course, it's like experiment to your heart's pretend. Like,
Yes,
for instance,
sir.
if you took a route of university, there's societies, there's different ways to engage in the hobbies. And out from there, you will meet people, develop your communication skills there, or just like you develop an understanding about yourself and mental. Or even if you don't go to university, there's still plenty of opportunities to like meet people. For instance, like in Urban MBA, you meet all kinds of people from different backgrounds, different interests. And from there, you are able to just build more in-depth conversations where it might make you realize a few things about yourself equally. And so like the key set of advice I would give to them is just be open to exploring wherever's there in terms of opportunity wise, where it's not like don't let fear be the reason to hold you back. Or
Actually, like, yeah, it's actually like that. Don't let fear take you out of the game. Yeah. Jump in the game and just embrace whatever it is, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then building on the point about people, I think it's just appreciate different people you are interacting with, because who you know and also the people that you interact with will really build up on who you are. So it's as many people were able to kind of see different positives, negatives about me that you need to work by. And it will also be able to give you consistent feedback. And it will create this loop of creating and giving, taking value equally. And that will help with the growth in the long term as well.
You got one more story. What does success look for you in like, let's do it this way. What does success look for you 3 years, in 5 years, and in 10 years? Let's go 3 years first. Let's start with 3 years.
So the 3 years,
Yeah.
I think it's definitely competing the grad scheme. So get myself fully ACA qualified, and that'll be done like within next 2 years. So that still falls that 3 year, and then that third year will just be about just keep developing that workspace within that same field. So I feel like that's like the core thing I want to focus on.
Yeah, so that's the present you're right now. So what does it look like in 5 years? Or what do you hope it to look like in 5 years?
I'll say maybe just being more engaged with like hobbies, for instance, or like interests I still want to pursue. For instance, like I love food. I think that's one thing that I will contribute to your. Yeah, so it's something I want to explore in terms of like, what would I want to make out of food? For instance, like one thing I regularly do for myself is just think about quality of foods that I'm trying out different restaurants. So it's just about like within 5 years, I want to be able to find a way to be more in touch with personal hobbies and interests and how I can use it to maybe build like a business or a career out of that area. And then you also the
Even 10 years.
10 years one.
I know we're going way out of the vows, but 10 years. Just sit in your imagination for a second. What does Iziz's 10 years look like?
Yeah, I mean, I've already got this idea planned in my head, but in terms of like, I definitely want to be able to buy my own house, like buy my own things and be at a stage where I can look back, say when I'm like 30 or like mid 30s and be like, I made the most out of my 20s to experiment, to learn, to try different things, learn about my preferences, and like I genuinely made the most out of it rather than focusing on kind of in the moment trivial problems that may occur.
Right. I think that's it for us. How can anyone find you, know about what you got going on, and socials, any?
So I have my LinkedIn. So it's as Ahmed. I have said is that AHMED. And then you can just feel free to connect or just like drop a note, a message, and I'll be to just respond from there.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much for taking the time to have this podcast with me. So I will see you guys in the next podcast. So yeah. Take care.